He gave you the foundations of everything of Islam, and you're so busy talking over him with your points that you're not realizing he's just giving you uppercuts, and you're not even getting it. You just cut off all of the daggone black Americans that was watching you because you don't even understand what they went through and why they want those things. Clearly, you don't understand how everything was stacked against them for 400 years of being slaves, all the way up into Jim Crow laws, all the way up into just the 1960s, and they're just trying to get some balance. You don't even understand that. You literally said, I don't care nothing about that. I don't even agree with that. And they're looking at you with their mouths dropped on the floor like, yo, is this your king? What's the statement? Is this your leader? Is this your king? Lord have mercy. Have you been around a Christian before without attacking them? They're totally different. They're dhalin, not maghdubi alayhim. Do you know the tafsir of the Fatiha? All right. So listen, I'm recording this actually after my response to the Mohamed Hijab, Jordan Peterson thing. And I still haven't had a chance to really look into Mohamed Hijab, but I did realize one thing, which is that he's only 30 years old, because I'm thinking he looks very young. They said he had all these MAs, MA, and I just went and looked up his age, that's it, and where was he born, and I see he's 30. I have a son that's 28 years old. I was married very early in life, and a lot of people in the West, that's what we do. And so I have a son that's 28 years old now. And so he's like my son's age, pretty much. At that age, you got a lot of ideas of what you're going to do, what you're going to be, and your goals are different at 30. He didn't even reach balagh ashuddah. He didn't balagh ashuddah. He didn't even reach the age of full strength yet. My whole life changed at 33. And then my whole life changed again at 38 actually, because I was like, ain't this supposed to happen at 40? My whole life changed again at 38. Then my whole life changed again when I got sick at 43. So my whole point is those stages changed me completely. And I had to think back when I was a young boy at 30 years old. He's doing pretty good for 30. If he got three MAs and he's been put in this situation, maybe it was for a great reason and he just didn't realize it because he's young. So my whole point is that my position still remains the way that it remains, as you're going to see in the clip or in the video, the response. But I realized even myself, I was kind of looking at it like an MMA match. Like, okay, like, how you see an MMA match and it's like, it's pissing you off that the boy that you're supposed to have the upper hand or you feel supposed to have the upper hand. And the other one just has a better strategy with him. And it's like, come on, man, get it. Like, so it's like almost to smile at now, but reality is it still stands the same. I feel like he came with the wrong energy. And I feel like Jordan Peterson sincerely came with the energy of wanting to learn, but he came with the energy of, for the sake of the Muslims, I got to get this guy and be disagreeable. And I think it put the wrong energy in there. But, so I'm going to still post it. I thought about not posting. I said, I'm going to still post it, but look at it in that spirit, the spirit of MMA match where my man is losing and the other guy just has a whole defense, a better whole system. And it's like, you're not getting it, yo. You're not getting it. And more importantly, like I said, is when you have an opportunity like this, and you'll see as you get older, people who are young, they'll see as they get older, you look back and see that was an opportunity that was so much bigger than I knew at the time. And if I had to do it again, or if there are all those videos I could talk to my younger self, this is what I would say. So it's like that. When you look back, you'll see. But at this age, you look and say, yo, that's an opportunity for millions to know more about Islam if they just both come in an angle from the level of humility and ignorance and just talk about it. It would have been a lot more accomplished. Now my producer's telling me that it's another video he wants me to look at, which is Mohamed Hijab and Andrew Tate, which is another guy I don't know. This is all just learning all these people now. So I'm going to look at it, and this is what he does to me a lot. Because he knows I'm not really familiar with these guys, he throws the thing so you can get a real response. And I'm pretty much the common person. So the response I give is going to be a common response if I don't know them. So the point is, I'm going to look at that. And then after I look at the Andrew Tate, Mohamed Hijab thing, then I'll just give a response and then put it all up at the same time. Allahu Akbar.
Wait.
Allahu Akbar Kabira. All right, so I'm halfway through. I didn't even finish it yet, but I'm halfway through. I'm going to be looking up and down at notes because literally I just stopped this. I'm halfway through looking at this thing, and it's called Talking to Muslims About Christianity with Jordan Peterson and Mohamed Hijab and Jonathan Peugeot, I think his name is, excuse me if the name is not correct, Peugeot, I think is how you say it, okay? And I'm trying to bring down my fury and calmly talk about this matter. But I'm going to tell you my initial feeling. My initial feeling was that when it started, I said, okay, this is going to be interesting. And I look, and in the first 5 or 10 minutes, I said, okay, I don't know either of these, but I don't know Mohamed Hijab at all. I've never seen a video from him, period. And I just got halfway through this, and I said I refuse to even look and see what they're referencing from videos before I do this. And Jordan Peterson, I barely know. I may have seen 2 or 3 clips of the things that he's done, okay? One of the clips is the one that was at hand, which is the issue of something about calling to the Muslims or something to the Muslims, a message to Muslims, okay? I saw a portion of that, all right? So I'm not familiar with either of these 2 people, except that Jordan Peterson, because of the fact that I've stumbled more upon some of the things from Daily Wire, I've seen a few more of his clips and I haven't seen this Mohamed Hijab character at all. But my initial feeling was, yo, he looks like one of those British guys that be on the street with that harsh dawah and stuff, that, you know, one of those rough guys, except that he's in a 3-piece suit. And then after that, it was like, okay, he has all these MAs when they're introducing them. They have all these MAs, MA in this, MA in that, MA in that. I said, okay, well, maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like the way that he's presenting himself, the way that he's showing himself, because remember they did the little clip thing before they started, and then they're, like I said, Dr. Ijoy told us a long time ago, in the first 5 seconds that you meet somebody, you put them in a box, and then they have to do what they have to do to get out of that box. So that was my initial impression of him. But when I heard the MA, I said, okay, he got all these master's degrees. All right, maybe I'm wrong. Let's just see how this is going to go. And it just seemed like right off the back, immediately, that was just my full impression. So it was so crazy that 20 minutes in, after them just totally ignoring the third individual, the third guest, which was Jonathan Peugeot, he came out of his mouth and it's the first thing he said. And I said to Zach, I knew it. And it's sad, but listen, we're going to start with this. The famous statement, I had to learn this the hard way also, okay? But that famous statement, and what we have to do first is, when we read the Quran, we have to first do introspection, okay? We have to take all this stuff in about ourselves, okay? And when the Allah talks about the messengers coming and the people thinking, this is not the one that's deserving to carry the message, and Allahu Jalla wa Ala saying, Allahu a'lamu haythu yaj'alu risalata. Allah knows best where to place his message, who to place his message in, the type of person that should be carrying the message for all people to benefit. Everyone has to know who they are. There are some people that are made to carry this message, and they're usually the people that don't ask for it and don't even know they were made to carry it. They're just studying for themselves. And then there are other people who want to carry the message, but they're not the people for it. It's not saying that they're not good for something. They might be good for research. They might be good to be the Khalid bin Walid, or it might be good to be the Hamza. They might be good to be the good strong arm. They might have some beneficial things to say. It might be really good Muslims, but they're not necessarily always the one to carry the message. One of the things that always stick in my head is a statement of the Prophet ﷺ to Abu Dhar al-Ghafari, and he was one of the first Muslims. He was the boy that came out after he became Muslim and said, the Prophet told him not to. He said, no, I'm going to go out there and announce my Islam. Announced his Islam, got beat down till he was unconscious, and Abu Bakr had to get the people off by saying, do y'all know who that is? That's Abu Dhar al-Ghafari from the Ghafar tribe. You know, the one that all of y'all merchandise have to come past in order to get y'all the highway robbers? If y'all kill this dude, y'all know what's going to happen to y'all stuff? And that's the only way they got off of him. And like he said, when he talked about it, his narration, Abu Dhar, he said, all I remember is being beat unconscious and then waking up bloody on the side of the Kaaba. Anyway, this man, he was a major figure in Islam. But what did the Prophet say to him? He said, yeah, Abu Dhar, yeah, Abu Dhar, I love you. So listen, if you're ever in a group of 3 people, don't let them make you the Amir, because I find you not to be strong in this. This is not your strong point. Everyone has to know what's their strong point and what's not. If your strong point is to be a goon on the street, then you can do that. If your strong point is to be a researcher, you can do that. If your strong point is to be the backup person for someone and to be able to give people information but let them deliver the information, then do that. But your strong point may not be to talk to people other than Muslims about Islam. Because when you talk to people other than Muslims about Islam, you have to sincerely want that they be guided, not to have your agenda and want concessions and all this crap because of feelings that you have inside of you. You're not going to get anywhere like that. The goal is to sincerely want good for the person that you're speaking to. That's why Allah said to the Prophet, لَعَلَّكَ بَاخِئٌ نَفْسَكَ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ. You'll like fret yourself to death chasing after these people, trying to get them to believe. إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. All these different things where Allah is telling him because he's feeling so bad about he can't give these people Islam because he sincerely wanted everyone to have the message. He can sincerely cared about mankind, rahmatan lil alameen. You can't do that if you got all your little hang-ups and your own agenda and all of these things. So if your heart is not right, then you shouldn't do it. Get somebody else to do it. Or get your heart right. Like the situation, that person that was in battle and he was about to kill the boy because of his own personal feelings, and he recognized that. So he went away and started fighting somewhere else till he got his heart right. And then when his heart was right and he was doing it for the sake of Allah, then he came back that way and ended up killing him for the sake of Allah and not for his own personal feelings. That's the first thing. That's the first thing I got to say before I start into this. Now, regarding the actual content of this, I don't know Jordan Peterson. He might have been playing rope-a-dope, but if he did, he did it masterfully. If they were playing good Christian and bad Christian, him and Jonathan, if they did it masterfully. And unfortunately, our good brother, in my opinion, he came in there on his Sonny Liston, he came in there on his George Foreman and didn't realize what he was stepping into. He came in there with a lot of anger, a lot of fury, a lot of ideas of what he was going to do, all his notes about his first point and his second point, and he didn't know what it. Barakallahu feek, zadakallahu ala hirsik, but he didn't know it was abysmal. Sorry. So this is the thing. Why am I saying this? I'm gonna bring all my proofs of why I'm saying this. Okay, I gotta look at my notes. All right. So he comes in. And the first thing that I said in my head, because like I said, my man Azak, he showed me different clips of the younger Jordan Peterson and the older Jordan Peterson. I've seen maybe 4 clips of him, okay? Because he literally showed me this is how he was back in the day, and then he got sick, and then kind of this is how he is now. And this is before all of this. He was just talking about different YouTube personalities that he looked at, that he thought was like something, and he showed me the thing about the Muslims. Because my whole thing, an issue of having some type of unity amongst people of faith against the immorality that has taken over the world. So he showed me different ideas of people who might be in line for that. And he said, just what y'all said, that, he was taken aback by the statements that was in this message to the Muslims or whatever. But Jordan Peterson addressed that. So let's just get into it. So the first thing I put was, that I could see that this was a more worn Jordan Peterson, but that might be by God's wisdom, because it seems like that it brought with it some humility that wasn't in the younger Jordan Peterson. The younger Jordan Peterson seemed to be full of himself, even though, as he's saying, there was just a way to get out there and do things stupidly in order to get dialogue started, and it worked. But he said himself that, but I looked and I said, this seems to be a more humbled Jordan Peterson. Now, this was before, like 5-10 minutes in, then I realized when he took a shot back and I realized, oh, they don't have any shoes on. And then I looked behind and said, oh, they're in a masjid or in some Muslim establishment. That was before I even recognized all that, which would make him be even more humble, because he agreed to come on our grounds to discuss his matters and literally had to take his shoes off, come in near, and humble himself totally into our environments. But he felt that comfortable to do that. And like he said, he had to fight to do this because people were advising him against it. And like Jonathan said later on, the reason why they were advising him against it was because of the thug videos that's on the internet that I haven't seen. I'm scared what I'm going to see when I see them. But, Allahu Akbar. So, they introduced Jordan Peterson. And they introduced Jonathan Peugeot. He does the thing with Christian symbolism or like this. And then they introduced Mohamed Hijab. Now the thing is they introduced Jordan Peterson with accolades. They really just acted like Jonathan Peugeot was like something that didn't even exist basically, which I thought was a terrible slight. He's your guest. You should make sure that you have a bunch of things to say about him, just like you should have less to say about Mohamed Hijab. Because these other ones are your guests, and that's the right of the guests, is that you give them their props. And about us, we just Muslims. Have you heard the statements of Sheikh Albani, Sheikh Ruthaymin, and all these people? Just a student. I'm just a student from the students. You even heard anything from what's his boy, Ahmed Didat? Ahmed Didat would just be like, I'm just a Muslim brother just like you. All these, I'm an MA and Fulana, got the MA and this and the MA and this and the MA and this and the BA, and we don't need to do all that. You should have given them their props and said, and this is our brother Mohamed Hijab. That's all you needed to do. So anyway, I guess, as you went on, you see that despite all of your anger about colonialism, that you're a walking manifestation of it. No offense, but I'm sorry. Where you come from and where we come from, people I'm around, are two different places. We came from a place where we were dragged into a place and we had to do our best to just survive there. You seem to come from a place where you feel that showing your colonialism gives you accolades. You're wearing their three-piece suits. You're in a masjid, dude. Is that how you dress every day in a masjid? If not, then why are you doing it now? To show you're intellectual? They look at you like a monkey or King Kong in a suit. That's what they look at you as. Trust me. They're looking like you like, okay, he's fully colonized. He says what he said about the Western world or living in the West. Your response was, what? I'm not just living in the West. I am a Westerner. People where I come from don't do that. We say exactly the opposite. Yeah, I was drugged into the West. This is all I know. I was stolen and cut off from my roots, and I survived here. But I'm not in America. I was just by God's decree born in America. That's what we say. But you're like, no, I'm not just raised in the West. I'm a Westerner, and I'm a British just like you're Canadian. Whoop the effing do. And you see how they looked at you? I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be talking third person. Do you see how... No, I have to say it like this directly. Do you see how they looked at you? They looked at you like, okay, he's fully indoctrinated. No, I need you to know, just in case you didn't, I'm not some foreigner. I'm a Westerner. I'm not just in the West. I'm a Westerner, and I'm British. And he looked at you like, okay, my point exactly. Don't nobody claim the West except somebody who is enamored by the West. The knowledge that you're supposed to be getting on the rugs of village masjids is greater than anything you got that PhD and MA and all that crap for, which is why you have pieces of paper, but you don't have any of the hilm that comes with it. You have pieces of paper, but hilm comes from you sitting yourself in some masjid under some sheikh and they teaching you good manners and the manner of a da'i before they teach you anything about the knowledge that you're supposed to use in your da'wah. I'm sorry, I have to say that like that. I said I was going to be calm. We might have to erase this and just continue. We're going to keep talking. We're going to continue, but it's infuriating. It's infuriating. I'm sorry. It's infuriating because you're saying you're from Egypt. I've been in Egypt. I've sat on rugs in villages in Egypt. I know Egyptian scholars, just like the scholars from Najd, just like the scholars from Albania, just like the scholars from Syria, and nobody acts the way that you're acting. So where did you get your hilm from? Your adab, your akhlaq from? From the Westerners that colonized your ass into that suit to make you think that you're special? I'm sorry. You gotta go back to square one, dude. You got your stuff now, your papers? Now go sit with some people of knowledge, learn how they act, and get real knowledge so that maybe in 5, you have the nerve to say they agreed to this because Jordan Peterson can see I'm half his age, but he knows where I'm going in 30 years. What type of arrogance is that? No, go sit with some true scholars on a rug for 10 years and you'll come back a totally different person. Inshallah. Because this is why people run away. And Peterson is literally just taking shots at you, just pop. And you can't even hear it because he's saying it in such a calm voice and you're talking over him with ideas. Well, my point. And he's just so calm. He took so many the shots at your chin and shots at you, and you didn't even catch it because he was so calm about it and so humble. And his whole idea was, I came here to listen because I don't know. He said over and over again the idea of ignorance and hope. He said to you the formula of Islam, and you didn't even get it each time he said it. He said the idea of ignorance and hope, the ideal of humility, what is literally the foundation of Sayyid al-Istighfar. Abu'u laka bi ni'matika alayhi. I have this hope. Abu'u bi dhanbi. I recognize my ignorance. Faghfir li. So I hope you'll forgive me. فَإِنَّهُ لَا يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ. Literally the foundation of the three names that the scholars disagree on is the greatest name of Allah. Al-Hayy. To show your hope in him and his Hayy, being the one that's ever living and taking care of everything. Al-Qayyum, the one who takes care of all of us in our lowliness. Al-Ahad, the one that's up there that we have hope that's going to forgive us. And Al-Samad, the one that we rush into in our ignorance to hope that he'll forgive us. Al-Jalal, the one that's of high status. Wal-Ikram, and hopefully he'll be merciful and generous to us to forgive us for our sins because we're ignorant. He gave you the foundations of everything of Islam, and you're so busy talking over him with your points that you're not realizing he's just giving you uppercuts, and you're not even getting it. Like, subhanAllah. I'm sorry. We're going to have to erase this, aren't we? We're going to have to erase this.
No,
Allah, I'm not trying to be fantastic. It's just like, Lord, Allahu Akbar. I'm sorry, Allahu Akbar. We're going to have to erase this. We're going to have to erase this. No, astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah, forgive me. Astaghfirullah.
Here's the thing, let me just tell you something. Mohamed Hijab, like, you better look at him as just a YouTuber. Like, he's not like
I know he's a YouTuber! He actually gave a damn spot for his YouTube thing in the middle of giving dawah. He literally said, y'all can go to my YouTube thing and hit subscribe and hit likes and leave your comments, but if I don't like them, I'm going to throw them out. What the hell? That's what he said. Yo, Zach, you got to look at this word up. He actually said this in the middle of giving these men dawah.
That's just because you don't understand YouTube. Like, that's normal for people to do.
Yes, but he's supposed to be giving a dialogue, calling people to Islam, and millions of viewers on Jordan Peterson are going to look at this. And this is you're supposed to be saving souls. How are you supposed to be saving souls and you're doing this? And by the way, my YouTube blog, and you can give likes and and click, and if I don't like your comments, I want to get rid of them anyway. So anyway, and they're looking at you with their mouths dropped on the floor like, yo, is this your king? What was the statement? Is this your leader? Is this your king? Lord have mercy. Astaghfirullah. I have a heart condition. I shouldn't be doing this, but Lord have mercy. All right, let me bring it down. Astaghfirullah al-Azim, astaghfirullah al-Azim. We don't have to erase this. I'm going to keep going until we make a decision, and you make a decision. I don't care, whatever you do.
Just because you are new to the whole the whole thing.
Allahu Akbar.
Like debates and stuff.
You make a decision if you want to erase it. Now, let me just get it out, and that way, if you want me to do it again calm, I'll do it calm.
I'm
all right?
That's great. Like, that's normal.
All right, so let's just get to this. He said, so the elephant in the room was the situation of message to Muslims. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I had to get that out. I'm going to be calm now, inshallah.
If that's your first video of Jordan Peterson, that's you're not gonna make it in YouTube.
What?
You're not gonna get, like, you have to, like, that's just the beginning. You're just scratching the surface of, like, online debates and stuff.
Allahu Akbar. It was just abysmal. It was abysmal. Oh, it infuriates me.
The thing is, why are you expecting him to act like Sheikh Albani or something? Like, that's not
No,
fair.
it's just because you all right, this is the thing. You hear all these degrees and you hope, and then they say, and he's qualified to discuss Islam also. They say that at the end.
Unrealistic expectations of a
You know, it's not that. He has a master's degree in 3 different things. He went and got 3 different master's degrees. Got one from Oxford, one from Islamic Institute, one from somewhere else. He has 3 different master's degrees. And then at the end of all that said, and he's qualified, he studied with Islamic whatever, and is qualified to teach Islam. So I'm like, okay, all right, okay, let's have it. And then it's like, okay, so he says, but Jordan says, I came to listen. I really want to learn about Islam. I realized that I don't know much about Islam. And yes, my message to the Muslims was something that, he literally said, and I quote, he said, I wanted to start a dialogue stupidly. That's what Jordan Peterson said. Oh, as humble as ever. I wanted to start something stupidly. He said, I was humble. I don't know what I'm doing, didn't know what I was doing. And there was expression, and he had expression of reasonable humility. Like he started with this, like this. And he said, I also did something called the message to the Christians. And he said, with both of them, I ruffled feathers, but the goal was to initiate dialogue, and it worked. I'm having dialogue with people now. But he came in a very humble form. Okay, so he starts off in a very humble form. And the first thing that popped in my head, honestly, was وَلَتَجِدَنَّ أَقْرَبَهُمْ مَوَدَّةً لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّا نَصَارَى. The first thing popped in my head. And you'll find the ones that are closest to you as far as this mawadda, which is like just a loving way about him, is the ones who say, we're the Nasara, we are the Christians. ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ مِنْهُمْ قِسِّيسِينَ وَرُهْبَانٌ. The point is what? وَأَنَّهُمْ لَا يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ. Said because from them are ministers and priests or whatever, how you want to translate that, and they don't come at things with arrogance. And it's like, okay, he's taking this Christian humble approach to this now. He's being Christ-like about this. Okay, that's a good place to start because y'all can actually have some dialogue, in opposed to if he came with his usual rhetoric. He's in your place establishment that was clearly a spiritual establishment. You have your shoes off, you have all kinds of Islamic stuff on the walls, Islamic calligraphy or whatever you want to call it on the walls. And so it's like, okay, this is an Islamic place. He came in, took his shoes off, and was respectful. In your Islamic establishment, possibly a masjid, and he came respectful. He said, I'm here in the spirit of ignorance. I'm here in the spirit of ignorance. Okay? He said that he feels as though it's useful for people of religious faith to be aware of their commonalities and to understand that there's a whole world out there right now that's doing the opposite. Or in other words, ta'alaw ila kalimatin sawa'in baynana wa baynakum. He's giving da'wah to you that Allah said you shall be given to him. He's saying, I want to come together on our commonalities. And the first one is that we all worship one unity as he said it. And he said, which means monotheism. We all, people of faith, believe, and the first thing is that there's some higher unity, and we call that monotheism or a monotheistic way. He's making clear to you that he's already given you the da'wah that Allah said for you to give him, to come together on a common ground. But you're so stuck in your situation about needing, you literally said after he opened it up with the proper way that you're supposed to open up Islamically, you say to him, they said something about, you being known as a disagreeable person, and you embrace that. And that was like my second hint that, okay, this dude, he got some, and hey, a lot of us got time in the streets. But even in our streets time, it was different apparently. Because I don't know what you was doing in the streets. But in the streets, when we was in the streets, we was in the streets. And then when we started doing Islam in the streets, we showed by our actions. People saw us going to the masjid 5 times a day. People saw us that when we did something, we had a little bullhorn and we called people and had pamphlets to give them. And we talked in a way that people gave people the microphone and let them ask questions. We did it outside the masjid. We let people see if they wanted to see how we prayed when it was time to pray. Or we prayed in a big park where people could see, and there was people that were stood out as guards so that nobody would attack, and they would watch us pray. We came with such manner that anybody that tried to do something against us, they would look like the fools, not us. That's how we did in the street, and we were in the streets, trust me. We hooked up with the different alliances that were in the community. The police officers, so that they could watch the marches that we did. Up with hope, down with dope. Helmets on because we knew that we might be attacked. Literally going and having to give it to who? Not Christians, but the dudes that were selling drugs on the corner of the masjid until they knew that wasn't going to be tolerated. But you're welcome to come in the masjid at any time, wash yourself up, sit down and listen. But you're not going to sell drugs right on both of the corners of the masjid. That's the only time that we got harsh with people. And it was after we gave them the warnings. So even in the streets, we had a different situation, apparently. It's very clear. So it wasn't no thuggish stuff like the stuff that I've seen on different videos. I've never seen a video of yours, but I'm imagining you must have been like the ones we saw, where they'd be out there and calling people all in a rough way and try to discount and all this mess instead of calling people in the best way. Lord have mercy, just go and listen to Malcolm X. He wasn't even Muslim yet. He was on that black mess. And he even still called in a way that's better than that. And he was calling it a complete batil. But he was coming with facts. I hope you don't think that you were like Malcolm X when you were doing that. I hope you don't, because that means you didn't understand Malcolm X. Nor did you understand what he went through, what his parents went through, what people had went through for 400 years. And then all of that, he was still calling to batil at the time. He still believed that the whole race was devils and that the black man was God and that he was talking for the messenger of God in the form of Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Fard was the God was a white man that came to him. And he was still giving better dawah. Allahu Akbar. All right. So, he said, I'm very ignorant of Islamic tradition. I'm just trying to understand. But he was saying that he came to listen, and that's why he came. That's why he put himself in a situation where literally he could have been killed in your masjid. If it was just a group of people that, like the people that you used to hang out with, he literally could have been killed. And I'm saying based on what they saw on videos, which is why they probably told him not to come, he literally could have been killed in your masjid. But his faith was that strong that he came into your quarters and sat down humbly and said, I really want to know. I really want to know. Directly from the horse's mouth. So, he talked about the situation with the North American person he had. Because you're talking about you want some concessions. You're like, well, I would think that you would open up concessionary. What the hell concessions you want? As soon as you said that, it's like, oh, you just played yourself, because he realized that you're not an authority on this land. You're somebody that got a bunch of emotions and you need to be patted on your back and say, it's okay, we're sorry for what we did to all of y'all. What the hell are you talking about? What the hell you want concessions from him for? He's a man like you that's raised right now when you're raised. He wasn't there 300 years ago, 200 years ago when the people did what they did to Algeria or anywhere else. He's just like you. He's in Canada, some Christian that just literally studied his whole life to be in a position where he's in and happened to stumble upon YouTube and became a famous star. He's not even part of a government. What the hell you want concessions for him for? That's like somebody saying to you, coming to you and saying, I want concessions because of what's the pirates that's in Somalia? Shabab.
Yeah.
I want you to apologize for when Shabab came and shut up that hotel in Somalia, because in Somalia there were people who had two eyes like me and I feel bad. What the hell are you talking about? You want concessions? Go to the government. You want the man that came in as an individual to learn more about Islam and you want him to be concessionary?
You have no idea how much Jordan Peterson would love what you're saying, because he talks a lot about the idea of collective guilt and how bad it is. Like he doesn't like the idea.
Oh,
he talks a lot about it. Like he
I
doesn't
do.
think it's collective guilt. Like I'm not responsible for that sin of white men.
Well, that's what's sad, is that after he asked for all of that, and then after that he had the nerve to say, well, I don't want reparations and I don't want, what was the other thing? Affirmative action. Now, so when you did that, you know what you did? You just cut off all the daggone black Americans that was watching you, because you don't even understand what they went through and why they want those things. Clearly, you don't understand how everything was stacked against them for 400 years of being slaves, all the way up into Jim Crow laws, all the way up into just the 1960s, and they're just trying to get some balance. You don't even understand that. You literally said, I don't care nothing about that. I don't even agree with that. All I want is, what did we say? I forgot. He said all Yeah, no, he said you wanted concessions. Then after, oh yeah, he said, all I want you to know, understand is that we don't believe in the thing of the he went, it's literally opposite of what he was saying. Okay, he literally went opposite of what he was saying after that and said, no, we don't think that you should be held accountable for that because in the Quran it says, la taziru waziratun wizra ukhra. He literally said that in Arabic. And I'm like, everything you just said went against that. Everything you just said went against that. You literally just held this man accountable and said he needs to come with some concessions. And he said, I'm in the same place. He sounded like the Joker, literally. He's like, I'm in the same place that you're in. We're more alike than we're different. And I'm looking like, yo, he's working the Joker game on you.
You mean Joker with Batman?
Yes, Batman. The intelligence of the Joker. He was like, we're the same. I'm not even this. What the hell? Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. All right, we gotta erase this, yo. Or afterward, I'm gonna have to come and apologize, man, because that was wrong.
That's too early for an apology on YouTube.
The point is like he's looking at you like, yo, we're in the same boat. I'm sorry. I don't even agree with what they did. And when you're saying all these things, like you're taking shots at them, yeah, like when the France did what they did to Algiers, that wasn't nice. He said, I agree, it wasn't nice. He said, no, when the Spaniards came over there and they did what they did to the Latin Americans, yeah, I agree, that was terrible. That didn't go well. I agree. He's literally telling you he agrees with all that. The man is part historian. He's not going to deny these facts. And then got the nerve to say, well, I could have ran into a wall. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. All right, let's continue. Okay, so he said about his friend, Jordan Peterson said about his friend, the carver, the Native American carver, and when he didn't understand that, he did the same thing. If you would have just listened, yo, you could have tampered down all that anger and heard this man was at least purporting himself to be sincerely wanting to hear. And he gave you an example of the last time he did that with the Native American carver and that the whole situation about these schools that they had made in Canada. And when he talked about that, and then the guy got in touch with him and told him about what happened and that he remembered directly about the situation he was in with these damn pedophiles and sadists and what they did to him and all that. And he had to humbly apologize and realize that there were terrible situations that happened in there that really made people have a reason why they felt the way they felt. So he does this stuff, he starts dialogue, but then he's coming and he listens and he learns. And someone like that, as educated as he is, an intellectual like that, but still Christian and loves to talk about the fact that he's a religious person and against morality, you would expect that. He's not like these arrogant, talk against immorality and all for morality. He's not like these Zionists that you seem to have the grudge against, nor is he like those people in government that no matter what, the government is right. He's literally coming to you the opposite way. And I say Zionists because these are the same devils, and that's what he literally said to you. He said, literally, and you didn't even catch it like the last thing he said. It was 44:01. That's when I had to just stop it. At 44:01, he said to you that we can't be so arrogant that we don't realize that we're all flawed. He said, and he said it third person, and you didn't even catch it. He literally gave you a daggone uppercut into your chin that was so bad I had to just stop it right there and said, that's enough for tonight. He said to you, dude, he said that, but if a person is so amazed with himself that he really thinks that he knows his whole religion, even though the religion is too big for anyone to completely grasp or understand, then he can't imagine that he might get some wisdom or benefit from the one that he considers to be a devil, from the one that's sitting in front of him because he considers him to be a devil or something to that extent. Basically saying to you, you're so closed off. And I'm saying to you, I'm just like some devil that's sitting in front of you, and I'm giving you wisdom and telling you I'm ready to take wisdom, and all you are about right now are your points. But he said it third person, and you ain't even catch it. And he literally just was like, bam, and I said, I can't take this no more. I got to turn it off till tomorrow. That was the last shot he gave you and you ain't even catch it. So he was cool the whole time. Jonathan they didn't show Jonathan. And when they showed Jonathan, when he interjected after 20-something minutes or 25 minutes, he was so red in the face from holding back. I'm thinking, oh, this is the art guy. He's probably just sitting, just kind of listen. He was so taken aback, and he said out of his mouth, he said after all this, he said the elephant in the room, he said, I would have thought that the elephant in the room, and that's when I found out that you was the thug boy. He said, I would have thought that the elephant in the room that you were going to address was to apologize or give some explanation or reason for those videos that I've seen you in where you're on the streets, you and your thugs or your friends are on the streets and you're going around and saying that you're going to put violence on people and initiating violence and all this type of stuff, and you got masks on and all this stuff, and you just try to laugh through that. You're like, well, we're not going to talk about that right now. and you had to get yourself together. Did you think they weren't going to do their research on you? I didn't do my research on you. But if they're coming into your place and they're coming from Daily Wire or wherever, Daily Wire, he's a commodity. He's an asset to Daily Wire. You think they're not going to do their research on you? And still, he had enough faith with him in his religion and himself that he came into your environment knowing that you're a thug and sat there with his shoes off and with one dude next to him and had a dialogue with you. And you didn't see anything in that to make you think that you needed to humble your approach and do something a little different. First thing you want to do is, you want to take the control of the conversation. I want to talk about the elephant in the room. Then after you talked about the elephant in the room, you went 20 and 30 minutes on the most basic concept. Dude! You ever heard of any hadith about Allah, the Prophet ﷺ, sending people out to different people and knowing who you're going to give dawah? He said to Mu'adh, you're going to Ahl Kitab. So start with this is the formula. It's different than when you're going to an atheist or somebody that is not agnostic or somebody that don't even have religion. They just live drinking and eating and having sex and doing nothing. You go to these people and you try for 20 minutes to get out of them through every way possible. What's your purpose of life? Oh, so I want to ask you a question. What is your purpose of life? They know what their purpose of life is? They're Christians. They're Ahlul Kitab. The purpose of life is to be right by God. I see if you said that to a Jew, and a Jew knows his purpose of life too. But the Zionist Jews specifically, they do everything else other than that because they think they ain't going to go to hell except Ayyam and Ma do that. I understand if you said that to them because you're trying to catch them on the fact that they got more knowledge than you got about your own religion. And still they run the porn industry, still they run the Hollywood, still they run the movies, still they run music, still they run alcohol. And they know better. Wahum ya'lamun. These some Christian dudes. They come a whole different way. Or do you even know anything about Christians? Do you know anything about them? Have you been around a Christian before without attacking them? They're totally different. They believe in what you believe. It's just that their stuff is, they're dhalin, not maghdubi alayhim. Do you know the tafsir of the Fatiha? Lord have mercy. Why do you think these are maghdubi alayhim? Because they know. Darlene, they really don't know, but they're sincere about what they know, but they always want to know more. That's why they're the ones that come in the slam war. Fatiha, you say it 17 times a day. You don't know the tafsir to the Fatiha? Directly from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These are ilm bidun al-amal. These are amal bidun al-ilm. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy.
By the way, let me tell you something. I don't know if you know this, but Mohamed Hijab and Jordan Peterson, they had a podcast before. That's not their first encounter.
So the whole point is, so what happened? That means he should have known.
You didn't know that, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's not their first encounter. So they know each other.
Okay, so he should know him. Was Jordan Peterson more aggressive in the first one?
No, he was. I didn't watch the first one because I wasn't that optimistic about how well Mohamed Hijab would do, so I didn't watch it. But I don't know Mohamed Hijab either. Like I literally have never watched. Watched very, very few clips of him. But the thing is, they know each other and they are in the same sphere, like the podcast and the YouTube stuff. So they are not expecting
So that's why Jordan said that. Jordan Peterson literally said, since we're in the same something like that, in the same sphere or whatever, that we need to be able to agreeably disagree or have our differences amicably.
I'll just play devil's advocate here because these people know each other to a degree, so they are to a degree allowed to Hijab is isn't being so polite or something, because like a bit like I've talked to you before, like it's not like he's not like talking to a stranger, so he must be like super polite or whatever. And Jordan Peterson like is also like figuratively calloused in terms of like he's used to being attacked and stuff like that. So they're like the and Mohamed Hijab as well.
Right.
And Mohamed Hijab has I haven't seen this video, but I think like he called Ben Shapiro out.
Mohamed Hijab.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have to say again. That makes it worse, because that means you should have been on your A game. Because if you've called Ben Shapiro out, if you called Jordan Peterson out, if you talked to Jordan Peterson before, do you know they did their homework on you? You already know that they're only sending him for a reason. So you should have been on your A game to make sure it wasn't about you and it was about Islam. That's what you should have been on. You should have been on your A game, not looking for concessions, not looking for him to apologize for the conquistadors, however you say their name. I can never say their name right. To the people that came after they took over Latin America. Not for even when I was in school, I couldn't say that name. Anyway, the ones that came and caused a bunch of pillaging and terribleness. The whole point is that. You should have been about spreading Islam and not something so simple as talking about for 20 minutes trying to get them to trip into the purpose of life. They know the purpose of life. Both of them said it to you. They know where they came from. They came from God. They know where they're going to. They're going to God with their deeds. They understand that means here they have to be the best people they can be. They are not criminal villains. It's not like you see them smoking weed, slinging drugs, and drinking and having women on their laps. These dudes and everybody, for that sake, that's on Daily Wire, are known for having some type of religious uprightness. You don't have to talk to them about the purpose of life. You don't have to talk to them about the first question, the question that ever since whatchamacallit did, and Dawood Adib did it in the early 90s or mid 90s or whatever. What's the purpose of life? And you probably heard that when you was a little kid. And it had something on you, and then you took with the first point of Tawheed, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, and that was the best way you could come at that? How about telling them that worship اسم جامع لكل ما يحبه الله ويرضاه من أقوال وأعمال الظاهرة والباطنة, and then going through the 5 subdivisions and the halal, mubah, and haram, and then the 5 subdivisions of halal, of makruh, and all the 5 subdivisions, mubah, all of that. How about going through those 15 subdivisions and saying all of us where we fit in and making it into a broad thing? And where do you feel as though you fit in? As all of us, we need to fit into this whole thing the best that we can in order to be doing proper ibadah. Ibadah is everything, even when we're sleeping. If we sleep in order to get up in order to continue on in the pleasure of Allah or the pleasure of God, then this is ibadah. Now take account of ourselves and see what are we doing and how can we improve ourselves in this way? How can we call people to morality as a group? Call people that's going to immorality to morality. The other thing that he asked for, he literally said in the midst of all of your stuff, he said, and I quote, when he said, so what's your idea, or what is it that you would like to achieve in our sitting? He said, a fundamental necessity of a unifying or uniting book across the 3 faiths. And that's not nothing. And I'm sure you understand grammar to mean, and that is a great thing. You just went straight over that. Do you understand how monumental that is? Do you understand as intellectuals as you're supposed to be now with your MA, that for people like you and him and some other people to sit down and come up with a book that's a reference point to what all the peoples or the scriptures of faith agree upon, that's literally what Allah told us to do in Surah Al-Ali Imran, ta'alaw ila kalimatin sawa'in baynana wa baynakum alla na'budu illa Allah. We all agree on. وَلَا نُشْرِكُ بِهِ شَيْئًا وَأَلَّا نَتَّخِذَ بَعْضُنَا بَعْضًا أَرْبَابًا مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ. That's like the foundation of that. For y'all to sit down and agree to do that for the sake of stopping immorality. And once we get things back to a moral place, then we can go into the branches of discussion about the scriptures. Do you understand how monumental that would be for intellectuals to come together and do? But you're so busy off here, you didn't even catch that. And he literally said it emphatically, and that's not nothing. And you didn't even catch it. That literally means, and that would be a great thing. And you just went straight over that. Lord,
just had huge expectations of that guy. Like, it wasn't what you think. It wasn't like an event with like, he's not a great scholar. He's just a YouTuber. That's what.
But this is the thing. But this is what you got to understand.
Muslims have done worse.
Okay.
That before.
Exactly. This is what you got to understand. There had to be and are going to be people like me that's the first time that they even seen this dude. And they're expecting him to give a good understanding of Islam that they never got. People that, like the people I grew up around, that they don't know nothing about Islam. They don't have an aversion against Islam. They just been seeing Muslims wearing hats and saying Assalamu alaikum and praying and dressing strange. And this is their opportunity now to know about Islam.
Yeah, right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they come, and this is supposed to be authority of Islam, and the first thing they say is he's colonized with his three-piece suit on in a Muslim establishment. The second thing is they're trying to figure out, well, why he got the three-piece suit on with the beard, and he's in an establishment, why don't he just wear Islamic clothes? But then that all goes out the window when what's worse come, which is nothing of benefit.
I just don't understand
just
what
attacks.
The three-piece suit. Like,
because the three-piece suit shows everything that you're talking about you've been indoctrinated into.
But you wear suits as well.
Look, I wear a blazer when we're going to handle some casual business. You're in a masjid, in your place, talking about your religion, and you think that you had to wear your three-piece suit and talking about it may in this, it may in that, it may in that for you to be accepted. Dawud Adib didn't. Ahmed Didat didn't have to do that. Ahmed Didat just came in his joint and did what he did. And I don't even like the Ahmed Didat approach, but he was just a common guy that was just talking about Islam. But my whole point is like, Ahmed Didat wasn't even trying to do what I had, what I would hope the aspirations of this was, which was to actually have a platform with a man, Jordan Peterson, who is an intellectual with millions of followers, that when they see it on his page, they get a better understanding of Islam and at least know, if not anything else, that it's not some religion. Like, I'll tell you what the Christians believe. I know because I used to live next to a church, and I found one time on the ground one of the pamphlets that they give out in the daggone church. And let me tell you what the pamphlet said on it. It said in cartoon form that they were talking to a Muslim or talking about Muslims, and they say Muslims believe in. They said Muslims believe in God, different gods. They believe in Allat. They said Allah comes from Allat, which was an idol, and Aziz comes from Uzza. They did it the opposite way. They said that this is what Muslims believe in, and they made it into a whole cartoon pamphlet. And it was right out there. And then when I talked to people when I was working with them, and they saw and got to know me, it was two women that were married. One was married to a Christian minister. The other one had a Christian minister in her family or whatever. And so they literally said to me, they said, Islam must not be what they tell us about, because they teach us that that's a devil religion, that the Quran was created or was written by the devil. This is what they teach them in church. This is because Christians they don't have knowledge about Islam. It's different than Jews. A Jew will tell you straight, we worship the same God. They will tell you straight, we call him Allah like you call him Allah. They'll tell you straight, we don't believe in that mess that the Christians say. They will tell you that straight. They've told me that straight. That, you know, that stuff that the Christians say about 3 and 1, and we don't believe in that. But the difference is only a situation of they wanted all the messengers to come through their bloodline. So when the last messenger, when Mohamed came from the bloodline of their uncle, from Ismail, then they said, we're not following him. We're going to stick to what we got. We got enough come from the line of Ishaq. We're not following that. And when it became that it was the last messenger, they said, nah, to you be your way, to me be mine. We're doing this, you doing that. And that's why they have a problem with their cousins up to this day. It's a big difference with the Christians. The Christians, most of them don't know, but if you inform them in a good way, they're at least better informed to make their decisions on what they think about Muslims. And that's where my problem is because I know literally a country with millions of Christians in it that don't know much about Islam, because the way that the media works in America, they'll never get it off of television, which is all that they watch. They'll never get it off of cable or satellite, which is all they watch. And so when they get an opportunity on YouTube through Daily Wire's man, Jordan Peterson, for you to give a proper understanding of Islam, you're so filled with your YouTube personality and your concession speech that You didn't even realize what you were there for. You didn't even realize what you were there for. And they sat there and they looked at each other, and Jordan Peterson is the one that got the knives, yo. He got the knives to cut you. But he said, I'm just going to sit back. And he let Jonathan say the little things that Jonathan said. Even when he was talking about Jonathan, something that he knew verbatim that Jonathan said, he said, but I'm going to let Jonathan say it. And Jonathan tried to say a little bit of it or whatever. The whole point is, Jordan Peterson, he got both swords straight Shanghai, straight in their sheaths, and then they have to take them out. He didn't even have to show them. He was just like, this dude's gonna stab himself up. I don't even have to say nothing. And he didn't have to say anything, dude. You were so stuck in yourself. You were so representation of everything that you were talking against. Whether it was colonialism, whether it was being so proud that you can't understand somebody else's understanding and ideas, whether it was just calling to something bigger than you, whether it was your daggone commercial for your website in the midst of it. Dude, please. Listen, I say like I said when I opened, Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Yo, my sincere advice, I don't know how old you are. You don't have any gray in your beard yet, so the Nadir didn't come to you. Apparently no Nadir came to you yet, because when the Nadir comes to you, it humbles you. With me, my gray came, and it still wasn't my Nadir until I got hit with this sickness that took half my weight from me and had me doing all this problem. That was my Nadir. The gray, I thought I got my Nadir. I'm like, oh yeah, I got gray now. And then the sickness was my Nadir. Everybody's Nadir is different. For where you're at, clearly your Nadir didn't come to you yet. I think maybe you need to go on the mission that Moses went on, and go find your Khidr in the villages on the carpets of some masjids and learn a humble approach, learn actual humility to let you know that all those papers that you got from these universities and institutes mean nothing. There are scholars, trust me, I know people that got university papers. I know people that got master's degrees from Medina University. And when they came and saw what we were studying, they said, y'all studied more than us because we had to finish the Quran first, with all the tafsirs from 5 different tafsirs first. While we were going through Hadith, they said we only have to memorize 10 juz from the Quran in order to, we can get I think it was a bachelor's or a master's degree with that. While I was studying that, they were like, you want to study what? You got to do Ajramiyah first, you got to do the Quran first, you got to do these 5 books of tafsir first. You have to understand the Quran, because if you don't have the Quranic approach, you're going to come arrogant. And the Quran humbles you. You have to understand the uslub of how Allah talks to you. You have to understand that the whole Quran is telling you that you're going to follow footstep by footstep into what the people of the scriptures fell into before you, except it's going to be more of us astray than them. 70 sects of the Jews, 71 sects of the Christians, and 72 sects of the Muslims are all being hellfire, and only one group from each of them are going to go into Jannah, a paradise, and that's going to be the ones that stayed upon what their prophets and messengers were upon. It's going to be more of us and more sects of us than them, because what? We're going to follow them. So when you're listening and reading the Quran, is not to take your swords out and figure out how you're going to attack the Jew and the Christian. It's to realize and introspect and say, we're following the same path, and he's teaching us what happened to them so we don't fall short, and then we're supposed to go and call them back to what's right. That's the whole reason why you're reading the Quran. You're supposed to be so introspective. The last thing you're thinking about is pointing the finger this way, because 3 or 4 is pointing back at you. That's how you're supposed to be when you read the Quran. But if you don't got the humbleness or humility from understanding the Quran, because many people read it, the people that's going to go in, Hadith, the people that's going to go in and out of Islam like an arrow that goes through the animal. He said what? They have better qira'ah, better recitation than ours. They know more than us, and they're going to go in and out of Islam like that. So it ain't about you memorizing it. Are you grasping it? Because if you're grasping it, you're going to have a whole different approach when you give da'wah. Flip your frustrations. Flip what you went through. You went through 1 generation of that, most likely. 2 tops. We went through 400 years of it after being stolen from our countries. You probably went to Britain. Your child family or parents or grandparents went to Britain by choice because they wanted a better life. We got snatched away and stolen and don't even know our roots. And all we had was Islam. So when it came, we embraced it. Kafir. That's all we know. So leave. My point is, we can have a whole bunch of frustrations and do this and feel like that and this and that, but we realize it don't get us much place. Islam is the way. And once you get it, you ask Allah for forgiveness for our forefathers and whatever they did that might have made us be in the predicament that we was in. And you ask Allah to make us better so that our progeny have a better situation than we have. Like 1 or 2 other points he said the thing about wanting to have a book that's like a reference point that all 3 faiths agree upon. He also said a few statements that you just didn't catch. He was teaching you humility. He said a recognition of our own lowliness or our imperfectness, I guess. Imperfections, yeah, you could say that. And he said that a recognition, he said it's very different to actualizing, especially when you fancy yourself a courageous knight. It's hard to be humble when you think that you are the knight or the person that's supposed to carry on this whole, idea of Islam, I guess you want to say, for your situation, that you don't realize that you still have a lot that you have to learn and that the best way to do it is through humility. But you feel like I have to be the one to kick the sword and lead the people and lead the cause. No, just humble yourself and realize you're just one person. You can give some advice based on your situations or based on your experience. Well, me, I'm telling you right now, I'm not the one to do it. I had to realize that. After doing it for years, for 10 years, 12 years maybe, it was like I did what I was supposed to do at that time, but now there are people that are coming that can do that better than me. It's time for me to raise my children. It's time for me to make sure that my children have a good environment that they can be in, where they can learn Islam, Quran, Arabic, things like that. And there are people who are better and more qualified than me. So no problem. Where you're at, do that the best you can, but be humble enough to know your place. And I'll just leave it at that. It took out 2 minutes to plug your channel. You do the thing about waking up on the ship. You felt like you had to go through this whole situation in order to get to the idea of the purpose of life. And I just feel like you could have just nailed that literally in 2 minutes. You could have nailed it because they already understand the concept of the purpose of life. And you could have made it more into, so what, we all take account of ourselves and we all do introspection to figure out where we're at in life and what we're doing to make sure we're good when we go back to him with our deeds, which is the thing that all of you guys agreed on finally after 40 minutes. They agreed on it from the gate, but you just took 40 minutes to get it out of them. So the whole point was just going past that to commonalities and things that we can do to make this a more moral place, because they came to you because their idea, or at least Jordan Peterson's idea is that the people of morality have to come together on their commonalities and because the differences are less, and come together for one thing, to stop the immorality that's taking control of this earth. That's why he came to you.
Can I add something?
Yes.
I think that Prophet Muhammad Hijab plays the role that he thinks most Muslims lack, which is most Muslims or da'iyas, people who do da'wah, are most of them like apologetic. They feel inferior to the white man, stuff like that. Maybe he wanted to represent like someone who's strong, who's not apologetic about anything, who feels like a pride in his religion and stuff like that. That's why
So why he should have just talked about the religion then? He didn't talk about the religion. He talked about his feelings about them saying that the Western ideology was the best way to go, and that and after him studying history based on the bloodshed that they've done and the millions that they've killed, that's not the best way to go. Why don't you just start talking with what is the best way to go? And people already know that history and they can make that decision on their own. Just talk about the best way to deal with things. Come with the answer. You don't have to start bashing the other side. وَلَا تَسُبُّوا الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ فَيَسُبُّوا اللَّهَ عَدْوًا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. You have to start attacking and beating up on them, because then they're going to beat back up on you if they don't have good sense without knowledge. Jordan Peterson had enough good sense. He didn't even attack you back when you attacked him. He was just like, well, that's why I'm here to learn. He was so humble. It made you look like a bully. Literally, it made you look like the whole time you were just waiting to pounce and get your anger out on him and get your anger out of him. He's just looking like, I'm just a common guy like you. I don't want no problems. I came here because I want some, even though we know Jordan Peterson is a daggone fiery sword. But in this situation, he was like, I don't want no problems. I just came here to learn. That's why I came here. And you're like, no, you're going to be the one we're going to beat up on for this. He said, no.
But Jordan Peterson talks a lot about how great the Western civilization is.
Yeah, that's what he said. But the thing is that the way that he approached it like, no, you're gonna fess up and apologize for the things that the Western civilization did. And it's like, no, look, listen. He could have made that point so quickly, which was both you and I know, and anyone who wants to look can see that reality is that the Western way has caused more bloodshed than the other ways that we people talk against. So now we as people of scripture, we as people of religion, we as people of morality, let's sit down and try to figure out a better way, because as a result of us not sitting down before, immorality is taking hold of the world. That could have been the first 5 minutes. And we could have had a good discussion after that for a good half an hour, and it would have been plenty for people to swallow or digest. I don't even know what the discussion turned into, because for 45 minutes, the majority of the time, he wasn't even at the page that Jordan was on to just discuss solutions. He was just venting. And so I don't even know. I hope that they got to that in the end. I got to look and see later. But that's what happened.
Probably not.
Oh, God. Oh, God. So that's why I literally put 40, Jordan's, the original atrocities, people like you did it. Yes. That was the other hit. Jordan literally said to this man that he didn't get it. And that was the only thing he said with a little bit of fire, but he kind of leaned back when he said it. And I was like, he just took a shot at him again. He said, the craziest thing, he said that people don't want to take the idea of original sin. He said, but one of the benefits is to realize that you are capable of committing those same atrocities. And then he said, but most people are so trying to like distance themselves from it, that they don't even realize that it was people just like them that did it, that committed those atrocities. And I'm looking at it saying, yo, he's literally talking to you. That was directly at you, because the fire that you got, the anger that you got, anger that is called the hate that hate made. Anger produces hate. Anger produces anger. Evil produces evil. Instead of you putting fire on it, you putting more to the flame. You are literally the prototype of the people who will go and start killing a bunch of people because people killed your people.
No,
instead of figuring out.
Person always talks about this, like the things that he said to Mohamed Hijab, like according to you, because I haven't seen the podcast yet. He has been saying that since he came into the public.
Okay. All right, but
talking about that, like Nazis, like he said literally, like, I understand people who tortured people in Auschwitz. And
Right. But you didn't see.
They were also human. They were us.
Yeah. But when you see his face when he said it, he literally said it like this and looked at him and then just kind of leaned back like, I'm not going to get into this. But he looked at him like, I'm talking to you this time. Like literally, all I saw. I didn't even know he said that other times. But when you look at his face when he said it this time, it's like, I'm talking to you right now. You don't even get it. Like, he was like, people like you didn't. And he's just like, because Mohamed is still talking over him and not getting it. I'm like, yo, he just took another shot at you and you ain't even get it. You ain't even get it, man.
He probably wasn't trying to take a shot at him, by the way. Like, it's just because you are new to those.
Yeah, probably. But I felt like he was he was literally the embodiment of what Jordan was talking about. Because the anger and the frustration and whatever that he had that he was showing, instead of being calm and cool-headed, is literally what get people to do that. What is it? Every action it has an equal and opposite reaction. That's why Islam says idfa billati hiya ahsan, doesn't it? Yeah. You're supposed to be repelling what that's better, but your energy shows that you would do exactly what they did and think that it's justice. It's not. وَلَمَنْ غَفَرَ وَصَبَرَ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ مِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. That's what he says. He said, you can reciprocate. That's what Allah says, right? He said, but the person who's forgiving and overlooking and patient, then that's from the best of ways. Then he talked about the situation of harmony in society and again, common unity. Demarcate and still appreciate that you can live separately or have your own separate views and ideas and still appreciate each other. All the things that we say in Islam. The fact that we're supposed to be appreciative when Rome beat Greece. Why? Because Rome was from the people of the scripture. And Greece were polytheists. So we appreciated the fact that something that was closer to God's religion, closer to the scripture, closer to what we believe in, was the one that was dominant over other ones. And Allah told us directly, وَيَوْمَئِذٍ يَفْرَحُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, telling us that we should be happy anytime we see that, because it's what? Nasrillah. Because it's the victory or help from Allah. When He allows these people to beat these people, so that means that we can appreciate what we have in common. Even if we have our problems and differences, the time gonna come where we gotta deal with that. But one thing for sure, we stomped out polytheism, we stomped out immorality, we stomped out these evil things. Now let's deal between us and figure out our differences and what's gonna happen with that. But at least everywhere that you go on earth, there's gonna be some people of the scripture that's running it. And that's a better place, isn't it? Than what's happening right now with these damn trends and these damn Dems letting everybody get whatever, and even the damn Republicans, both of them. I talk against the Dems because I'm hurt by the fact that they were supposed to do something better than what they did, and they've gotten worse than the Republicans. The Republicans stand up for more morality than they do outwardly, even if they're terrible people inside. So my point is, we're supposed to come together on something that's good first. And then we deal with our differences, but at least every place in the world will be ran by or be, they have the influence of something of the people of the scripture, and then deal with it from there. Because right now it's just immoral. All right, we're gonna close out with this. This is literally the last one. He said, yo, oh yeah. He also said, and this was the last thing I think that he took a shot. No, this is the third thing. He took 4 shots at you. The third thing was when he said that sometimes what we need most will be found where we are least likely to look. Or in other words, again, to me, it was him taking a shot at you. He was coming and he had some wisdom and dialogue to give you, but you were so stuck on yourself that you don't want to hear what he got to say, even though we always say sometimes you get your best insight from your enemy. Because the people that surround you are just going to support you. People are your enemy and they don't have nothing to lose. They say, listen, boom, boom, boom. And you say, wow, that is a problem I have. That's a problem I have. So he wasn't even coming as your enemy, but he was coming to give some advice. But it's where you didn't want to hear it from. Shaitan gave Abu Hurairah advice, and the Prophet ﷺ said what? Sadaqa wa huwa kadhub. He said he spoke the truth even though he is a congenital liar, basically. But what he said right there was the truth. Say Ayatul Kursi, and he said it. Why? He knows, because when you say it, he can't get to you. So he's telling you a wisdom that he knows because he can't get to you. I just listened to a real witch from Russia, and she was talking about when she has to send spells on different people, and she sends literally devils on people. And they said, well, which ones did you have the most problem with? We should do this as which one? It was a nice joint. We should do a commentary on it.
Let's talk about this later. I know that will get you angry.
Okay. But she said, don't say this, Ahmed.
Okay.
All right, let's get finished. She said, the ones that I found, and that's how you know she wasn't lying. It wasn't no trick. It wasn't about Islam, because she said 2 types of people, 3 types. Yeah. She said the ones that I found the hardest.
She said what?
Okay. She said this is how you know that she wasn't trying to push Islam or nothing, because neither one of these people were Muslim. And what she said, she spoke about 3 different types of people. She said the people that I found that when we send out spirits on, that they're not able to get to them. She said are people who are military, athletes. And she said that for some reason, Muslims across the board, and she didn't know how to pronounce Muslim. She said Muslim. She said Muslim, athletes, and military people. And she said that the only deduction that she could come to is because they all are trained, and so they think with a different level of mind. She said a military person, everything that they do, they have a military mind frame. She said with the athletic people, because they're always running and doing exercise, they have a different frame of consciousness, a different level of consciousness. And she imagined for Muslims it was because it's the same spiritually. But she literally said, we throw it on them. And she said, was the Muslim, it's like something just blocks it. It just blocks it. Like we throw it and it just blocks it away. You're hearing from your enemy, but they're telling you what's true about what? Why you have to make the du'as of sabah wal masa. Why you have to use the 3 calls. Why you have to do all of this stuff. So you have to hear sometime from your enemy to know how true what you have is. But you can't even hear from who you think is your enemy, and he's not your enemy because he's coming for dialogue. Those are the ones we accept in and we listen to and we talk to. He's coming for dialogue, and you can't even hear nothing he's saying. And the last statement was the one where he said, I have advocate for a faith. As an advocate for a faith, you can't possibly fully understand. It's not so obvious that it's not so obvious that the devil won't say something. That's the devil won't have something to say. Okay, yeah. So he said that the last thing, which I said a little earlier, he said, because of the fact that a person feels they're the advocate for their religion, they look at it as whoever's in front of them is like the devil. So they can't possibly listen and see that there actually is not a devil, but somebody that got something to say. So that's why you have to be sincere about giving dawah to Islam, because you don't know. What you say might change that person's heart. It might be to bring them into Islam or bring them to a better place with their Lord. But just the same, what you say could be the thing that chases them away. And I've watched it happen over and over and over again, especially these young people when they first came with this whole new, I ain't going to say the name of it, but I think people who know knew, but they were calling to this new thing and like, this is, and they were literally chasing people away because of their harshness. And what they were calling to was proper, but how they called to it was the harshest way. And so people ran away from Islam as a result. So you have to call bil-hikmati wal-mawidati al-hasana. You got to call the right way. And if you don't, you'll have people run away, which is why we say what? رَبَّنَا لَا تَجْعَلْنَا فِتْنَةً لِلْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. Don't make us a fitna or a trouble for those people doing wrong, because they look at us and say, well, we can't have the right way. Look how we carry ourselves. Look at the situation we in. So we're going to close with that. That statement about you getting from the person that you think is a devil, the last point was that's the reason why the Prophet told us when it comes to the information from the Jews and the Christians, he said, "La tusaddiqu wa la tukaddibu." Don't say it's right and don't discount it and say it's wrong, except based on solid proof. If you have a solid proof that says it's wrong, like for example, the fact that like the fact that Satan wasn't an angel, never was an angel, but he was a jinn. You have solid proof on that. So when they say he's a fallen angel, then you know for sure that's wrong. And if you know for sure that it's right, like the fact that we all call to worship one God, then that's right. You saddiqu. And if you don't know, then don't say this way or that way, because there may be something right and you just don't have knowledge of it. The point is, you got to have an open heart in order to be able to even catch any of that. And when you catch it, you realize that sometimes they have things to say that's supported totally by everything we've been taught. And we have something to say to them that when we say it, their eyes, that you see their eyes pour with tears because they know what you're saying is the truth. That's the dialogue you're supposed to be having. That's what I came to listen to. And unfortunately, that's not what I got. And I'm very, very, I'm sad about it. I'm very sad about it. I'm very underwhelmed and sad. And inshallah, we do better. Inshallah, I went better after the other 45 minutes, but I don't know outlook. If so, then I'll do a rebuttal and apologize. But still, 45 minutes in, I left in 45 minutes. Most people probably left in a half an hour and they left the wrong way. So may Allah make us all be better and be those people who call to that which is right. And once we come together on that which is right, then we deal with our differences. But let's make sure that we have a place that is free of immorality, a place that is free of wickedness, a place that is free of all that evil, and then let's talk about our differences. Till next time. I apologize if I offended anyone. I think we're going to erase this.
No, we're not.
But I think so. But if it gets up there, my apologies. I'm not the one for this. That's why you don't see me. And everybody's not for it. And who knows? Maybe I'll be another one time, but I'm not looking to be. Till next time.